Independence City Council for Monday, December 2nd, 2019. Our invocation this evening will be offered by Elizabeth Strobel, pastor of Trinity Presbyterian Church. Elizabeth? Can I hear you? Let's see. Would you mind coming forward and offering our invocation? Yes, my stand-in. If you would please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Shirley.
You're welcome. Our dear Father in heaven, we are gathered together here this evening in the attitude of a city council meeting. And many are here with special interests, and we ask special blessings upon each member of the council, and we're grateful for them. We're grateful for the mayor and each council man or woman and the time they spend to study out what is good and what might have consequences later on. And we ask thee to bless them with this guidance and discernment. And at this Christmas time, Father in heaven, we give thee gratitude and celebrate the birth of thy Son and the influence that he has in our lives for goodness. And we ask blessings on proceedings of this meeting, that it might go peacefully and accomplishes the purposes thereof. This we ask, giving thee our gratitude in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam State Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmembers Huff.
Here.
Perkins.
Here.
Doherty. DeLucy. Here. Robertson.
Here.
Van Camp.
Here.
Mayor Ware.
Here. We have two citizens who have requested to speak to the council this evening. The first one is Catherine Alexander, who wishes to speak about updating city services from September until now on systematic failure to provide Western Independence basic city services. Ms. Alexander.
Hi, I'm Catherine Alexander, and I do live in Independence. And so since I first came to see you, simply because I lived in Independence and I wanted basic city services, I have learned a lot. In fact, I learned this is a televised proceeding, which I didn't know last time. So I would like to, first off, mention to you that there are 20,000 people of Native American descent in this area, and that last week's presentation might have been culturally offensive to some of them, because Manifest Destiny was a primary topic in that presentation. Please don't look too confused. I can help you with that if you need help with that. So that's the first thing I wanted to say, because I know some of my Native brothers and sisters are watching, because they were watching last week. The next thing is I want to make sure that it's understood when I ask for basic city services, it's not at the sacrifice of promises made to people who signed up to work with an understanding that they would have certain retirement benefits. So I want to make that totally clear. I am never for cutting somebody's retirement or their insurance. So the next thing I want to say is that the continued crime on Highway 40 in proximity to my neighborhood is a problem. I think we all know there's continued crime. I was invited out to dinner tonight, but somebody shot somebody in the restaurant a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if I want to go there. And I was going to go Christmas shopping, but somebody shot somebody there last night. So I didn't know if I wanted to go there. So I think we have a problem that's not getting addressed. So I'm asking for you to stop giving out any type of business incentives to get people to come in to the city unless they can demonstrate a 1 to 20 year history of how they have been able to compensate and put back into the economy of any city that they have gone into. The internet is a wonderful thing. I think most people can use it pretty effectively. So for basic city services, I have had someone come out. I really appreciated that person coming out and looking at the street and seeing that a 2-year-old could walk into that pipe and get lost forever, and that it is dangerous. And Ms. DeLucia made time to come out and see the area, and we are hoping to have some repair. Mr. Huff was very good about making sure that if any other kind of help was needed, that he would be happy to help, and I really appreciate that. I have now received at my expense my decorative no trespassing sign so that the drug addicts walking up and down the street will be able to read, if they can read, that they should not trespass on my property. I will not say anything further about that because this is a televised proceeding. The last thing is, if I was appointed to a board, and I would like to know when that board is going to meet and be given all of the advanced materials necessary to make any intelligent decisions to be able to help the city become a better place. And the last thing I have to say is, if you're in need of free consulting, and I use the word free, as in free, doesn't cost $300,000 or $400,000, UMKC has a very nice Block School of Management. They also have an urban planning area, and I'm sure that they would love to study the City of Independence and come up with recommendations that might be helpful to you. They have a lot of very advanced professors. They have an excellent track record, and they could provide to you recommendations that may not cost you a lot of money. So those are the things that I have to say today, except that I would hope that every single person who serves in this city lives in this city, because we live here 24 hours a day, and those of us who live here vote. And as a result of me being here, I know that several new people are voters.
You have 1 minute.
That's all I need to say.
Thank you.
But thank you.
Appreciate you coming this evening. Our next speaker is, no, our next speaker is Bob Sorensen, who wishes to speak on Bill 19511, amending budget to fund health insurance for post-65 retirees, and another personal note, which I will let you talk about, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. My name's Bob Sorensen. I'm the president of the Loggers Retiree Group. I want to speak today, and we have a whole lot of our members here, knowing that my understanding is it'll be approved today to amend the budget to protect our insurance, and that all the work and labor we've went through and heartache for the last few months is finally coming to an end, and it's a good thing for everybody, the city and the retirees. And I want to thank you all for getting to this point and us being able to get this done tonight. On another note, I'd like to just make a small statement here, and I will read this because I'm going to have a hard time getting through it. Those of us that knew Marilyn Durking, she passed away on November 22nd, very unexpectedly. She was a very close friend of mine, and it caught us completely off guard. She'd been the treasurer of our organization for many, many years, and I felt like I needed to say something tonight about that. And I'd like to say that Marilyn was a retired city employee. I knew her well and was honored to call her my friend. She served in many roles with the city. I knew her from the time she served as a police traffic secretary. I also dealt with Marilyn during her years that she was assigned to the mayor's office under Ron Stewart. She dealt with me both as a police officer and as an FOP president. Marilyn was the type of person that had a smile on her face and just made you feel good to be around her. To know Marilyn and call her a friend was something to cherish. Marilyn was a big reason that the Loggers Retiree Group existed and was a treasurer for many years. It was because of her that the group had a voice in the current health care issue. This is something that all retirees should be grateful for. On November 6th, our executive board had our monthly meeting at the FOP Lodge. At that meeting, Marilyn told the board of her upcoming surgery. I observed tears run down her cheeks, as I could tell she was somewhat scared of having the surgery. At that time, the surgery was scheduled for December 15th. Because she wanted to be available for the meeting tonight at the City Council and for our December 5th meeting of our group. Marilyn told me she did not believe she could continue as treasurer due to the amount of work that was involved. Our membership had increased from 40 to 50 people to now well over 780. She also expressed how proud she was of me and the rest of the board for what we had accomplished in saving our health insurance. You see, Marilyn was also very scared about losing her health insurance. I, along with the rest of the board, tried to tell her that the surgery would be fine. I also told her that I did not want her to step down from being the treasurer of the group. The next day, Marla Kimsey, who's the vice president of our group, called me and told me Marilyn had contacted her. Marla stated that Marilyn had stated that she wanted to stay on as treasurer because she was so proud of the work we had done and proud of me and the board. I could not put into words how that made me feel. That was the last time that I was able to speak to Marilyn. I will never forget her. She was my friend and touched my heart. I ask at this time that the city, as well as all the retirees, celebrate Marilyn's life. The impact she had as a city employee to the city, as well as to all her many friends and family. This is the season we celebrate Thanksgiving, and I am thankful for having known Marilyn for many years. Marilyn will always be with me and is now in a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, this takes us to our presentation resolution. Madam City Clerk.
Whereas the City Employee Recognition Program recognizes outstanding performance by employees of the City of Independence, and whereas an employee committee selects the Employee of the Month for exhibiting the qualities and ideals that best represent public service, and whereas the Employee Recognition Committee has selected Ezra Santiago with the Independence Power and Light Department as the Employee of the Month for December 2019.
Is there a motion for approval of the resolution?
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Edras Santiago has been with the City of Independence for 9 years as an instrument pneumatic technician at IPL. Edras says what he likes most about his job is that it is a very steady and reliable means to support his family. He enjoys solving problems and fixing equipment so that it works safely and correctly. Power generation is a wonderful craft. His immediate goal is always to get to the end of the day with no accidents. His long-term goal is to not miss work due to accident or injury. His career goal is to make it to retirement age with no accidents or injuries. Edras says he has learned to always develop a plan to safely solve a problem or repair equipment without damage to the equipment or injury to himself or others. On a typical day, Edras installs, calibrates, repairs, and maintains instrumentation devices, controls, and related apparatus involved in the operation of the steam generation units and the combustion turbine units in the power plant. He helps keep things working in the power generation plant and helps fix them when they aren't working properly. Edras says he and his wife have lived in Independence for over 20 years, moving here because the houses were affordable and the neighborhood was quiet and safe. And Harry Truman, his favorite president, used to live here. Outside of work, Edras enjoys camping and traveling in the desert and the mountains, and also likes to do astronomy and owns a couple of telescopes. Please join me in recognizing Edras Santiago as the December 2019 Employee of the Month. For the picture. Congratulations. Thank you. We're going to take your picture and I'm going to take this back because we're missing a few signatures. Okay. We'll get it to you. Thank you. Okay, this takes us to the consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Weir, I move to approve the reports and recommendations of the city manager.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any items any council member wishes pulled for separate consideration?
Madam Mayor,
Yes?
19829 and 19834.
Okay, are there any others?
Could I, if the council, is this
Yep.
where I do this? if the council doesn't mind, if we could take 19-511 and take it out of order so we can assure these people that it's going to be done.
Okay, yeah, it's the very last thing on the agenda tonight, so let's call the roll on the consent agenda, minus items 19-829, 19-834. Are there any others? Okay, so we call the roll on that. Becky?
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. And if there's no objection from the council, we will take 19-511 out of order. This is an appropriation ordinance and may receive 2 readings at the same meeting. So we will do that immediately after the consent agenda. Councilmember DeLucy, 19-829.
Madam Mayor, this is a resolution that updates the membership on the Industrial Development Authority. And my question is simple. We're reducing the number from 9 to 6, and I wondered if maybe we wanted an odd number on the board as opposed to 6. Maybe we should make it 7 or 5. That was my only question.
Madam City Clerk?
I mean, we could reduce it down to 5 if you'd like by attrition. Once the next person rolls off, we could just choose not to reappoint them if you'd like to do that.
Well, it's just, Madam Mayor, and maybe I'm just being overly cautious. I just don't know why we'd want an even number of board members. So I don't know how anybody else feels about it.
Do you have a recommendation, Councilmember?
I just wondered, does anybody else care? I mean, I
I
think
think
it's,
that solution's fine, that we could reduce it to 5 by attrition.
Yeah, I think it's always best to have an odd number so you don't have a tie vote. So,
then, Madam Mayor, I move that we amend 19-829 to the 6 and then 5 by attrition as discussed.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes?
Robertson,
yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Motion passes. Councilmember would like to make a motion on 19-829?
I move approval of 19-829 as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes?
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Item passes. Councilmember 19-834.
19-834 is the resolution which adopts our 2020 state legislative policy, and I disagree with the 5 items that are listed on the cover sheet. I love the Steamboat Arabia as much as the next person, but we are spending $240,000 for lobbyists to advance the interests of our citizens. And I think a mental health funding, the crisis intervention, and a regional crime lab are much more important than keeping the Steamboat Arabia in the state of Missouri. Therefore, I'm going to vote against 19-834.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
Move approval of 19-834.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Thank you, Mayor. I do believe that mental health is in our priority list here, same as the other concerns. I don't think there's much that's changed. And it's kind of the way they do things in Jeff City. We give them a block of things to take a look at and keep on their radar for us. So I don't think we would be not supporting those issues that you brought forth, Councilwoman. But I will be supporting this.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
DeLucy,
No.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
No.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. 19-834 passes. Madam City Clerk, let's take ordinance 19-511.
Bill number 19-511, an ordinance increasing appropriations in the amount of $274,408 in the Power and Light Fund, $62,722 in the Sewer Fund, $73,175 in the Water Fund, $6,534 in the Central Garage Fund, and transferring appropriations in the amount of $724,000 in the General Fund, $7,840 in the Tourism Fund. Bill number 19-511, an ordinance increasing appropriations in the amount of $274,408 in the Power and Light Fund, $62,722 in the sewer fund, $73,175 in the water fund, $6,534 in the central garage fund, and transferring appropriations in the amount of $724,000 in the general fund, $7,840 in the tourism fund. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, ordinance passes. Okay, back on track. I'll give you everybody a couple minutes.
Want to take 5?
Yeah. We had 2 public hearings scheduled for this evening for rezonings. I've been informed that both of these applicants have asked for these to be postponed. Mr. City Manager, is that correct?
Yes, both applicants have requested a continuance of these items, and staff has no problem with that.
Okay, so I will take these one at a time, but the council does need to take a vote to continue these public hearings until December the 16th. So I would entertain a motion to, is that correct?
Madam Mayor,
I'm sorry.
pardon me, both applicants have actually requested the January 6th meeting.
Oh, okay, okay. So I would entertain a motion for the first public hearing, the application from John Jarvis, to be continued until January the 6th.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, motion passes. We will also need a motion to postpone or continue the public hearing for the application received from Liberty Food Mart LLC to be continued until January the 6th.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, motion passes. This takes us to our non-ordinance action items.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes,
I would like to postpone this non-ordinance action item until January 6th as well, please. I'll make that in the form
number
of a...
one.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to postpone item number 1 until January 6th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes.
Madam Mayor,
Motion passes.
uh,
Yes.
if I could move to postpone indefinitely item number 4.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to postpone item number 4 indefinitely. Is there any discussion?
I have a question, Madam Mayor.
Yes?
In order for it to be taken up again when it's postponed indefinitely, does it have to appear on the agenda, or can it be brought up in council member comments as a motion?
Mr. City Manager?
All right. Clerk, I may need to be corrected here. However, it's my understanding that at a meeting, a council member could request for something to be, can make a motion and request for something to be considered.
They actually made an amendment to the council rules of procedure. It has to be noticed, so you wouldn't be able to bring it up during council member comments and say you want to approve the item. It has to be noticed previously before an item can be considered at a meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on the motion to postpone item number 4 indefinitely? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Okay. Item number 2.
Approval is recommended for a contract for services between the City of Independence, Missouri and Independence Chamber of Commerce for the period of July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
I have a question.
Yes?
Mr. City Manager, are we members of the Chamber of Commerce or not?
Last year, the City of Independence dropped its membership and the associated benefits in lieu of a contract for services. So no, we are no longer members within the tiered system that the Chamber of Commerce has. We have a contract for services. This item before you tonight would be a continuation of the one-year contract for services that was previously adopted last year.
Well, this contract is different than the prior one. The prior one called only for $10,500, and this calls for $20,500. Is that correct?
Yes, what was previously done was a combination. So within the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm not as familiar with their business model, but within their different membership tiers come different membership benefits, access to certain events and, number of participants at certain things, et cetera. The city forfeited those in lieu of having this contract for services. This year, they've asked for the tiered system where $10,000 for the contract for services and then up to $10,000 for the city to subscribe to or purchase membership benefits like tables at luncheons or banquets or some of the other membership events that the chamber has.
And I hate to be the conservative person here, but we are closing the health clinic because we cannot afford it. We had major disruption to retirees on their health insurance because we were scrambling for money. I believe we already pay the EDC $180,000 to do what this chamber contract calls for the chamber to do, other than the Halloween parade, which I personally don't care if the city is a supporter of the Halloween parade or not. I think it's a nice thing to do, but not when we don't have any money. Therefore, I am against approving this contract.
Question, Mayor.
Yes?
I believe it's been in the last few months, didn't we move some of our offices out of the Jackson County Courthouse to the Chamber of Commerce building, and do we still have offices there, and are we paying rent there?
Yeah, so we had offices previously at the Jackson County Historic Courthouse for tourism and had our visitors center there as well. Because of some of the failure to perform to the contract provisions, the city relocated those into the Chamber of Commerce, and we are paying rent for space for the tourism and the visitor center within the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, so this is over and above that?
Correct.
This has nothing to do with that?
Correct.
And Mr. Manager, the $20,500, where's that money coming from? What fund?
That would be primarily budgeted in the general fund. Yes, correct.
And how far down is the general fund from where you want it to be right now?
Council has adopted best practices for fund balance. That policy is 16%. That has dipped to just shy of, it's around 7% right now.
9% loss.
Well, 2% over the last year. So we were at 9, we dipped to 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
yeah.
so we never reached 16.
No, 9 was our high water mark.
Mr. City Manager, I have a question. I'm sorry. It was referenced that we paid the EDC $180,000. I don't see this as duplicating what the EDC does. The EDC is a public-private partnership that was established between the city and the Economic Development Council, so it is not a membership organization. Could you expound on the difference between what the EDC does for the city compared to what the chamber, our involvement with the chamber?
And just to clarify, we're paying $170,000 to the Economic Development Corporation and $10,000 to the Kansas City Area Development Council, which is the regional economic development arm. So all in on economic development, that's where that 180 number came from. Just wanted to get that straightened out. I don't have the EDC contract in front of me tonight, but in a word, the chamber would probably be focused more on business retention, whereas the EDC is focused more on business recruitment.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Could you explain a little bit on the Santa Calagon thing that's in there?
In my role as city manager, I sit on the board as an ex officio member, so firsthand I did see, I don't vote, I don't participate in those discussions at the Chamber of Commerce board meetings, but this past fall they had their annual retreat where they set their strategic goals for the year. Different ideas and concepts were thrown out. Resurrection of what I understand to be an old idea, which is relocation of the Santa Calagon Festival to a standalone festival grounds or fairgrounds, was brought up, and at that time the board voted to include that in their strategic plan or strategic goals for 2020.
Mr. City Manager, why is that the city's problem? Why does the city want the Chamber of Commerce to explore Festival Park as a permanent facility for Santa Calagon? I mean, why? I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce, okay? I pay my membership dues. I think it's like $400 or something as a member for me just to belong. I, as a chamber member, don't want the chamber exploring a festival park. I belong to the chamber because it's a business organization. And it seems like we're mixing apples and oranges. We're looking for a way to give the chamber $20,000, and I do not agree with it. We don't have the money to waste.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd be willing to make a motion to suspend the rules and procedures. Is there anybody here from the Chamber of Commerce, executive board leadership team, that can kind of explain to us a little bit more? Hearing silence, you may proceed, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
No.
Perkins,
No.
DeLucy,
No.
Robertson,
No.
Van Camp,
No.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Item fails. Item number 3.
Council action is requested to approve the purchase of specific and aggregate stop-loss insurance from Cigna for the Staywell Healthcare Program for the 2020 plan year in the amount of $1,536,095.
Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Item passes. Item number 5.
Consideration of a purchase and sale agreement for the CMH Building, 10901 Winter Road, to Inglewood Arts in substantially the same form as presented.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to clarify for the audience at home, we are still selling the building to the association for $165,000. They're still paying for the title insurance. Basically, the only change is the city is not having any clawback provisions.
Correct.
Okay, but the building is being sold, and hopefully they know not to come back asking for any kind of tax incentives because they got the building.
The building is being sold.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, item passes. This takes us to our second reading.
Bill number 19082, an ordinance amending Article 4, ambulances of Chapter 19 of the Independent City Code, second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill?
Madam Mayor, one more time. On this one, we are amending to take out the director, the health director, and I thought that Christina Heinen was our acting health director. So I don't know why we're amending this to insert the city manager in place of the acting health director. I mean, we need to have a health department. It's in the charter, and this looks like it's trying to get rid of it, and I just don't understand it.
Certainly. So, Councilwoman, in 2018, when the budget was adopted and we redistributed the duties of the health department, Christina Heinen, in accordance with the charter, was named the acting director of health to fulfill that provision of the charter. But there's a number of ancillary duties that have been redistributed throughout the organization. So, for example, food inspectors that used to work in the health department now work in community development. Code enforcement officers that worked in the health department now work in community development. There's nurse positions that are in the Parks and Recreation and Tourism Department. There's emergency preparedness folks that are within the fire department. We are seeking to have the ambulance inspection provisions assigned to the city manager or designee, which in effect I would assign those duties to the fire department and the fire chief to have those relayed. That department, though still very important to fire protection, has taken on more and more of a medical emergency response function, interface and liaison quite a bit with the AMR, who's our licensed ambulance provider in the city, and so we would seek to have them fulfill those responsibilities.
It just seems to me like we're getting rid of a charter mandated department. I mean, I know for budget reasons we needed to split the services and things like that, but this is making it seem like there is no health department, and I know there is not one spot for a health department, but we have a health director, and that's who I think should continue in this role. It's a charter committee, and we're getting awfully close to that line where we're violating the charter, and I'm very uncomfortable.
Until such time as, and be clear, this is not imminent, but until such time as the citizens of the city change the charter, we will have a health department. We'll have to have the essential functions associated with it. What we're seeking to do here is change the code portion of where this particular function is assigned to, and we don't see anything that mandates in the charter that the ambulance inspection has to be performed by the health director. So we were just trying to, as we modernize the organization and things evolve, we were trying to reassign that function.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
so it's my understanding Christina Heinen is still our acting health director. She serves as our liaison on the Board of Health, and we also have representatives of AMR on the Board of Health, is that right? There's no ambulance people on the Board of Health? I thought they
No.
attended some of those meetings. They attend some of the meetings, they're just not on the Board yet. Okay, so there is some interaction, there is some reporting to the Board of Health, obviously from AMR. So, okay, so there is some checks and balances there, and we do have a Board of Health that's appointed that is supervising that, and she's our,
And I may botch, but there's an emergency medical response coordinating committee that has different representation across the medical professional community that Christina also continues to interface with as well.
right.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
DeLucy,
No.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 19083, an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute a floodplain property lease according to the terms of the attached lease, second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins, DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, ordinance passes. This takes us to our first readings. Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 19085, an ordinance approving a rezoning from District R6, single-family residential to District R18, PUD, medium-density residential planned unit development, and improving a preliminary development plan for the property at 303 South Hunter Street in Independence, Missouri. Bill number 19086, an ordinance approving the Southwest Independence redevelopment plan, establishing a redevelopment area and designating the area as blighted, and further approving the creation of the Southwest Independence 353 Redevelopment Corporation to be organized pursuant to the Urban Redevelopment Corporation law.
Mr. City Manager, have there been public hearings on this with the public?
We have the Economic Development Incentive Committee, the council established that earlier this year. That group had a public meeting where this was presented and unanimously recommended approval.
That was advertised to the public?
Correct.
When was that? I, honest to God, didn't know about it.
Within the last month, last 4 weeks,
I think it was in December sometime it was posted,
November.
or
Yeah,
November,
yeah,
sorry, yeah.
Right.
And who's going to be working on this? What staff is going to be assigned to do this?
Our previous abatement programs were managed by community development. We have a person on staff who has developed quite a bit of expertise who's managed those. These abatement areas have a board that is appointed, typically consists of citizen representatives, but then that staff person from community development interfaces with and coordinates the activities of the board.
Do we have any idea how much this is going to demand of staff time and how much this is going to cost?
We've started to do enough of these, the Fairmont Carlisle 353, Maywood, a few others, that we've developed quite a bit of expertise around this now. So once you kind of get over that hump, these become pretty perfunctory. So I don't expect this to be a heavy lift. Not to demean the work that goes into it, but in terms of commanding a great deal of attention should not be problematic.
And could someone explain to the citizens what this would do?
Sure. 353 abatement is a state statute established program. At its simplest level, what that does is citizens are encouraged to make investments in their property, whether that be new roofs, new windows, et cetera, those kind of things. If certain criteria are met with those, certain levels of abatement are achieved, property tax abatement. So it incentivizes homeowners to make those investments that prolong the life and attractiveness of those properties in exchange for property tax abatement.
And how long would this last?
Oh, now we're getting,
25 years.
No.
I'm going to ask Tom Scannell to come up and go over some of the
And I
specific
understand it's
details
only
for
for
me.
single-family dwellings.
The program will take applications for 10 years with all abatements lasting for 7 years.
Correct.
That's in your packet.
17.
The meeting was on November 13th, 2019, and voted 7-0 in favor of recommending approval. That's in your packet.
Was that televised?
I don't believe we are televising the EDIC meetings,
Okay.
no.
Madam Mayor, if I may. Mr. City Manager, this is just a same but different kind of program that we had on the northwest side of town with this 353 development that was in place for 10 years?
Right.
Before
Right.
it ran its course, and now we're looking into the southwest side. So this has been in practice for quite some time. Now we're just moving to a different designated spot.
Yeah,
in Independence.
nationally, regionally, and then very specific to Independence and some of the adopted goals of the council, housing's become a pretty important topic.
Correct.
We've looked for the different tools that can help incentivize home ownership and property values, the attractiveness of moving into or relocating into these homes. Probably the most powerful tool that we have seen thus far is the 353 abatements. We were pretty selective about picking this particular area. This part of town has a high degree of home ownership, has a healthy median household income, but we're also starting to see that this is where some of those tipping points, so folks that demographically are looking like, could be looking to maybe sell their home. And I know we've been challenged in the past with owner-occupied homes becoming rentals or owner-occupied homes becoming group homes. So we're trying to find those things that will incentivize home ownership. 353, like I said, seems to be the most potent tool we have in the barrel right now for that. And we think based on those demographics, the data shows that this will have a very likely degree of success. Can't guarantee that, but we think this will be a tool that will help incentivize home ownership and home maintenance well into the next generation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes?
Having worked with you on this, and there is some expansion that could be a tier group thing. I mean, we're looking at all opportunities, and the people of the Fourth, thank you for the work.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk?
Bill number 19087, an ordinance authorizing execution of a municipal agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the M78 Highway and Blue Ridge Boulevard Bridge Replacement Public Improvements Project. Bill number 19088, an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 14 of the Independent City Code pertaining to short-term rental regulations. Bill number 19089, an ordinance authorizing the Transportation Alternatives Funds Program Agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the Truman Depot and Pacific Trail Project and making the necessary appropriations. Bill number 19090, an ordinance amending Article 10, Board of Building and Engineering Appeals of Chapter 4, Building, Plumbing, and Electrical Installations of the Independent City Code.
Okay, thank you very much. This takes us to council member comments. I'll start on my left with Councilman Van Camp.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Councilman Robertson.
Yes, a couple of things I want to mention. Of course, this Sunday, December 8th, is the mayor's Christmas concert with all the fourth graders in the Independent School District at the Community of Christ Auditorium. I believe it's at 2:30, so it always is a very fun time. Usually there's, I don't know, 400, 500 kids there singing Christmas carols, so it's a nice way to start the Christmas season. Also, I wanted to mention that we have tentatively planned, the city will not be conducting it, but there will be a public forum at Blue River Community College on December 18th about the Van Trust project, about their amended version, and taking comments for even amending it further. So, City Manager, do you have the location of that? It's at Blue River.
It's at the Blue River Community College at 6:30 p.m.
6:30, okay, 6:30, December 18th. So we wanted to get the word out, 6:30, December 18th at Blue River Community College for that forum. The public forum, I think, will be conducted by Van Trust, and they will be wanting to present some alternatives, and then they'll want to take comments because it will come back to the Planning Commission in January for public comment again. So the whole process is continuing, nothing is set in stone. We want public comments, we want your input.
Do you have the address, Councilman?
I don't,
Okay, it's on 78 Highway.
yeah.
And I believe it's room 110.
I believe so.
I don't know why I remember that.
Okay. One last question, if I could just ask about, because I've had this asked me. I'm still concerned about Highway 24 and the possibility of some of that road collapsing. And is there any movement with us and the other parties where the drainage problem has occurred there? It's in conjunction with Sugar Creek and Fairmount down in there. I don't know if there's anything on the latest. I would hate for it to have the same problem that we had on 41st Street, where the road actually did collapse and we had to close the road now for 6 or 8 months.
I can assure you the City of Independence desperately wants to address this issue. There are represented parties, both private business and within the city of Sugar Creek, that are making infrastructure improvements impossible at this time.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
To further add comment, Councilman, since that is a state highway, the MoDOT is monitoring that periodically. As of now, there is no threat of collapse of 24 highway as of this point. So.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. Councilmember DeLucy?
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Huff?
Yes, I've been getting quite a few calls on the utilities. Is the building straightened out now 100%, or where are we at with that?
100% I'm not certain of, but if anybody continues to have questions about issues with their bill, either receiving them timely or questions about the amount that they've been billed, I would encourage them to please contact utility customer service so that we can sort through that with them.
Right, I think the main one that I've had quite a few phone calls is the sewer end, and I realize there's a $12 fee, a federal one that we don't control on here, but they're using 4 units of water, which is $21, and their sewer bill's $75. Their power and light bill's only $100. Actually, I looked at my own, and I used two units of water. Mine was $45.
I don't know. I mean, again, I don't want to look at each of those. I will say, I believe it was 2 years ago, the council approved a rate increase. That was primarily driven by a rate increase that was also occurring within the Little Blue Valley Sewer District that is passed on to all of its members. And so we had to build that into our rate structure as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Topic of discussion over the past month has been infrastructure, and one that's kind of near to me is sidewalks. As you know, the First District has a lot of areas that do not have sidewalks, a lot of areas that have sidewalks that are in disrepair. So if my colleagues don't have any objections, I would like the city manager's office to take a look, review the policy that we have regarding sidewalks responsibility, what that looks like. Large areas of the First District has sidewalks in place that are some are worse than others, but if we can take a look at how we can review this policy and what are some of the best practices that we can look at and bring back a report to the council.
We'd be happy to do so.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, good news is that we begin collecting our new streets tax January 1st, 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And that the approval of that tax by 80% by the citizens of Independence does include sidewalk funding for the first time ever in this city. So I would expect that we will begin a process, as we did with our street repair program, is evaluating where the greatest needs are and moving forward on that. So that's very timely. Thank you. I did want to thank everyone who came out last week on Wednesday before Thanksgiving for the annual Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. It was a wonderful event, very well attended. Our speaker was Dan Mears, who many of you may know as Casey Wolf, who is the Chiefs mascot, and I think everybody can agree that he gave a very emotional and inspirational talk, and it was a wonderful way to start the holiday. We do have a number of holiday events coming up this weekend. Unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, it's just a fact. I'm going to be out of town for a family commitment, but we will have, nonetheless, the mayor's tree lighting on Friday evening, followed by the Living Windows up around the Independence Square, and some special events at the Uptown Market for families, and later in the evening, some entertainment for the adults, and that'll be on Friday evening. Saturday is the annual Mayor's Christmas Carnival. All families are inside and outside of Independence are welcome and invited to come attend. It's always a wonderful time, pictures with Santa, gifts for the children, and lots of games and activities for them as well. And as Councilmember Robertson said, the Mayor's Christmas concert is Sunday afternoon with our area fourth graders. So I regret that I won't be there this year, but I encourage you all to please come and enjoy this time with the people in your community. Once again, I'm very pleased that we were able to appropriate the funding necessary for the retiree health insurance. Again, congratulations and my deepest appreciation to our city staff and the former employees of this city who came together to reach this agreement. I know it was a laborious task, but the outcome certainly is one that benefits not only the former employees of this city, but all of the current residents of the city as well, with what we were able to do there. Mr. City Manager, do you have anything further this evening?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay, we are adjourned.